Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Hope this day finds you all doing wonderful. My name is Lady Starfire, and I'm here to bring you some more witchy tips. Today, I wanted to ask you a question. What brought you on this path? Or whatever path you're on, but especially if you're on the pagan path of any sort, I'd like to know what got you started. How did you find it? Was it from a movie? Was it from a friend? Was it maybe you were born into a family that practiced? But, leave me a comment and let me know what got you started. I'm going to let you know how I got started. Well, it started really when I was a small child. We didn't have books. We didn't have people to talk to. We didn't have internet, of course. This was in the 1960s. So I had movies like the original Cinderella and Wizard of Oz and things like that. And I was always really drawn to this magical thing. It was just, something that I thought there's got to be something more to this. And it was in my dreams, my daydreams, my wishes, my everything. And something that it felt right. Now, I was raised up in a Southern Baptist church. And I had a lot of not good experiences throughout my young life in these churches, no matter which one I went to. Now, I'm not necessarily talking bad about them. I'm just talking about my experience. And that always led me to look for something else. And, I went to churches with, friends, and went to a Catholic church. I went to a Methodist church. I went to a Pentecostal church. I went to a lot of different ones and, experienced different things. And so, none of it ever felt right to me. So I kept searching, and I kept being led more and more to find something. Well, once again, as I said, we didn't have internet, and you didn't have anybody to talk to unless you knew somebody. And of course, I wasn't that lucky. So I saved up my allowance, and one day when I was about 12 years old, I went to a B. Dalton bookstore. Don't know if they still exist or not, but that was where I went. And I found a section of books, and they had to do with, the magical life in one way or another. Well, there was only one that I could afford, so I bought it. A little small paperback book. I don't remember the name. Don't want to remember the name. I still have the book. It's packed away in a box somewhere, and every so often I'll come across it. And when I see it, it reminds me of why I chose the path I did and not the path within that book. It was really not a good book. I didn't understand that. I was 12 years old. Okay. So, I read the book and I couldn't really understand, some of the things in it. I just thought it was just because I was young or something and that I didn't understand. But, it had things like the Lord's Prayer said in reverse and all sorts of things along those lines. And it didn't feel right to me, but I'm thinking still, I'm just young. And this is what it's all about. So I, once again, read the book. Well, one day I got really, really mad at my stepmother. Okay, we didn't always get along well to begin with at that time. But, at this point in time, I don't remember what she did, but she made me really mad. Well, there was a little spell in this book. And me and my 12-year-old naive, dumb self decided to try this spell. Well, the next thing I know, she's really sick. And I don't know, what's wrong with her or what went on. I really wasn't even thinking about it at the time until she looked at me one day while she was laying in bed and asked me if I was trying to do something to her. Was this my fault? Well, at first I was like, how can it be my fault that you're sick? And then I remembered that little spell that I did, and I got terrified. And I went back to that book, and I read, and I read, and I tried to figure out if there was some way that I could undo it. Well, there was nothing in there at all. So I thought, what can I do? What can I do? And the only thing I could think of at that time was to do in reverse what I had done. so I did. And she got better. She actually did not remember the words that she had said to me, and I was thankful for that. I honestly believe that it was the goddess, their way of teaching me that that was not the path that I wanted to follow or needed to follow, that it wasn't a good thing to do things to harm people, no matter how mad you are at them. So from that day forward, I worked really hard to only do good things for people and to try to help people and such. And so time went on, and when I was about, I think around 18, I came across a store in Houston, Texas called the Occult Shop. And that's where I met Pat and Frank. And if any of y'all know me or know anything about my path or read any of my books, you know about Pat and Frank. They were an awesome older couple and taught me a lot, and which is why I've started following that path. And they, when I went into the shop, the Pat came up to me and asked if she could help me. What was I looking for? And I told her, I said, I don't know what I'm looking for. I just know what I'm not looking for. And I explained to her. And that's when she handed me a book by Al Manning called Helping Yourself with White Witchcraft. And I strongly still recommend it if you find it. It was written in the early 1970s. And so it still has a whole lot of that, do this, not any of this and stuff. But for the most part, it was an awesome book. It taught me a lot. And when I write my books, I actually write in the style that Al Manning did because it helped me so much, by having true stories that help you to understand why you do want to do this or you don't want to do that or whatever. And so, I went home and I read that book from cover to cover. I started making my list of my herbs and oils and things that I wanted, to buy and have so that I could actually practice correctly and on the light path. And so, that started me. And then, I kept growing from there. I would meet different people. I met a friend who taught me about burning jar candles. She took me to a little store down in Galveston. And at that time in my life, I had a baby. I was divorced. And I just really wanted somebody to love me. I was tired of all the crap, right? Well, the one thing she didn't teach me was about being specific. When you do anything. Oh my gosh, I will never forget when lighting that candle and what transpired thereafter. It was called Double Love. Worst mistake of my life, but it taught me a lesson, okay? And this is why I'm always teaching you and everyone about being very specific. Because all I did was put for someone to love me. Well, that became disastrous because people I really didn't want to love me all of a sudden were loving me, and I had to walk away from them. And it took a while for the effects of that candle to work itself out. So because when you light a 7-day jar candle, it doesn't just work for those 7 days. It's going to run its course. It's put this out into the universe, and it brings back exactly what you asked for. So, and it's going to keep going, okay? It just kind of keeps going until it finally runs itself out. Oh my goodness, please don't ever do such a thing. Always be specific. What I should have done was ask for the right person. So, unfortunately, I didn't at the time, but I learned the lesson, and I've never done that again. I'm always making sure that I am more than specific, okay? So when you are asking for anything, no matter how you do it, I don't care if it is just wish magic, if it is a candle, whatever it is, always be sure to be specific in what it is that you're actually wanting, okay? But, once again, I did it. I learned my lesson. And over time, I met more people and I learned more things. All of you have a much better advantage. There's some disadvantages also, But advantage is that there is internet now. There are books. Gosh, the books. You know, granted, some of them you're better off to stay away from or read them with a grain of salt. Okay. Or just really be careful, about, what you're reading and what you do with that as you read it. But you have the advantage of being able to get this information. Granted, there's a lot of bad information on the internet. Everything you see on the internet is not true, is not factual. Okay. So just because you see it on social media or, here, anywhere, weigh it out. Make sure that it's not a bunch of hype. If you see everybody doing it, and being all, oh, guess this, be wary, okay? Because chances are somebody did it and got a lot of followers, so now somebody else is going to do it because they want a lot of followers. It's just not a good thing, all right? It's kind of like the video I did on cord cutting. It's, I've had people come into my shop because of watching those videos and trying it, and then all of a sudden the person was actually turned out to be a stalker instead of being, separated from them, that whole cord cutting. So because the way that a lot of people are showing to do it with the 2 candles and the cord, it's actually a binding. So, weigh it out, research it, talk to other people, find out if these things are the way to do it. A lot of books I've talked to you about before will have you, buying 40 candles to do a spell that you don't, really need. Okay. Just think about it. Listen to your gut. Don't just run out and do every spell you can get your hands on. Spells can be very dangerous, and especially if you don't really pay attention and you don't weigh it out and you don't personalize it to make it work for you. Because, I could write out a spell, but what you're going to do with it would be different maybe than what I was doing with it. And so it may not work the same for you. It could work good. It could work bad. So always read through things and make sure that it's legit, that it's right for you, and that, it feels right. Just make sure things feel right. Don't just run out and do it. Don't do things when you're angry. Okay, it goes back to my original story here. When you're angry, yes, that's a lot of energy that you can put into a spell. But you don't think straight when you're angry. So don't work magic when you're angry. If you're going to work something when you're angry, ask for something to bring you peace and clarity. Put all that energy into that so that you can then choose and decide what's actually right for you to do. Okay? So, because I want you all to be safe in your magical workings and your magical life. I tell you things that I've done wrong, because that's how I learned. We learn from making mistakes, but I try to help you to not make all the same mistakes, that I've made or someone else has made by telling you what went wrong so that you do better. So you don't have to learn some of those really hard lessons unless you are hard-headed like I always was and just think that, I had to do it the hard way. But it's better to not, okay? So, hey, don't forget to leave me something in the comments. Tell me how you got started on this path. If you want to share the dumb mistakes you made, feel free. I'll enjoy reading it. But, and if you don't feel comfortable with it, that's okay too. But, I really would like it if y'all would let me know what brought you on this path. Hey, and while we're talking, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe and the bell, please do. I really appreciate it. It does help me out, and it encourages me to keep making videos for you. Hope everybody does enjoy the videos. The feedback I get says that they do help you. So, these little things help me to keep making them for you. Okay. So anyway, back to the stories. I've learned a lot of lessons, after I wrote my first book in 2005. I revised it in 2009 because I realized I didn't include some of the things that, as much information maybe as I needed to. I didn't explain things quite well enough because I still had people ask questions. So I added some more things to it to, better explain. I also added some other things. I learned lots of different things in between those 4 years. And so I beefed it up a bit for you. It's all about learning. Everything's about learning. Unfortunately, most of us are not lucky enough to be born with total recall from a past life, or all of our past lives. So we still have to learn. There are certain things we may remember. A lot of times, I feel like when you go that deja vu thing, hey, I've done this before, it's because you have. It was just in a past life. So, we do sometimes get lucky enough to carry that information with us. And so pay attention to those things and, learn everything you can from as early as you can. Some people don't manage to find the path till their 40s, but it's never too late, okay? Because you just simply had other lessons to learn, before that time. And that's what this life is all about, is learning those lessons, okay? And experiencing things. Before we're born, we choose what lessons we're going to learn in this life. And some people go, I would never choose to go through that. Well, you did. Because it's a karmic debt. It's a lesson that you were supposed to learn. And you chose to go ahead and get it out of the way this lifetime. That's why I feel like I've seen people that, oh my God, they're the closest thing to a saint that there ever could be. But every bad thing possible happens in their life. And it makes you have to wonder why. Well, it's because in a past life, they weren't quite so nice. And so they've got those karmic debts and those lessons to learn in this lifetime. Okay? So understand it. Learn that lesson as quickly as you can so you'll quit having to go through all of these things. Okay? I look back at a lot of the bad things that have happened to me in my life. And me, like everyone else, I've gone through why me? Why do why do I keep having to go through these things? Okay? Well, I finally realized one day when I started on my path of having a shop and different things like that, where I'm helping people. My goal is to help people in my business, okay? And in my everyday life as well. But I realized that a lot of the things I've been through in my life actually help me to help others. Because I can look at somebody when they come in with a problem and say, I know how you feel. I've been there. If you've not experienced certain things in your life, you can go, oh, man, I can only imagine how bad that can be. But you really can't. You think you can, but it's usually 1,000 times worse than what you can even imagine if you've never lived it. Okay? So, I figured out that that's why I went through the things that I've been through. Does it make it better having gone through them? Not necessarily, but it gives me a reason for it, which makes it easier to deal with in my life. It makes it to where I don't have shut doors, so I don't think about it and all that. Okay? Instead, I use these things to be able to comfort, help, and guide people. My goal every day when I get up is to try to change at least one person's life for the better. Hopefully I can help more people than that, but my goal is to at least help one person. And I got to tell people, if I help 10 people today, I don't get the next 9 days off. And tomorrow I get up with the same thing. And, this is it's being a good person. And it's who I am in this life. Okay? And if everyone tried to be a better person, our world would be such a better place. I believe in live and let live. I do my thing, you do your thing, and everyone gets along, okay? So I hope all of these things help you in your path. I hope my stories, I hope my videos aid you in getting where you want to be and where you need to be in your life as well as your magical life, okay? Your path is your path. We may kind of walk some of it together and we may go separate ways and come back together. And it's all okay. All right. So everyone, have a wonderful day. I hope this helps you and, gives you some insight into me, into you, into what you want and don't want in your life. Like I said before, click all those little buttons down there. Leave me some comments. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, links down in the description. If you don't, that's okay too. I still love you. Okay. So everyone, just remember, you are important. You are enough. And use your positive affirmations. Tell yourself that you're beautiful and that you are worth it. All of those things. Anything that you need, put those positive affirmations up and say them every day, okay? Anyway, until the next time, everyone, have a wonderful and blessed day, and blessed be.